Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Team Riser Fall to talk about Monday Night Football. The Pittsburgh Steelers head to Indianapolis to take on the Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium. As it stands right now, the over/under is at 39.5 points. The point spreads are very low, and I will say this: both teams rank in the bottom half, the bottom fifth actually, bottom five in terms of scoring offense. So the under is worth a look here. And you're like, well, Chris, if that's what we're doing here, why even bother with a video for DFS purposes? It's not going to be this, electric game where all these points are going around, and it's not going to be like Thanksgiving or some of the things we saw on Sunday. But hey, still a video, still a game. Therefore, I am here to bring you some not parlays, but some picks and some spreads. Before I get into that, make sure you go to the website at Team Riser Fall. When you get there, use promo code Beastie. You'll get $10 off your first month of premium. That's a sweet word. You'll get a freemium service when you use promo code Beastie, and you get a Fantasy Cruncher voucher that rolls over month to month, and you can crunch until your heart's content. Tabs. We have coaches that talk in the Discord, which is free, leading up to each lock. NBA is in full swing. So is hockey, and obviously football is rolling, and already we're on the fast track to the NFL playoffs. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's look at this game. So we'll start Pittsburgh at Indianapolis, and we'll start with the quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett, when you look at this guy, 15 grand on FanDuel, $9,800 on DraftKings, $20 on Yahoo. Colts, 16th overall against opposing quarterbacks. And look, across the board here, there's a few things that the Colts do well. There's a few things that the Pittsburgh Steelers do well. And then there's also things that they don't do well. And right now, the Colts just aren't getting in quarterbacks' faces. They don't have that pass rush with Shaq Leonard. I can't believe it used to be Darius, but now it's Shaquille Leonard. He's off. He's done, unfortunately. So there is room for Kenny Pickett to move around. But what will we get out of this guy? And I have him around 20, 22, or 23 completions, 240 yards, 4 or 5 carries. He likes to move his legs and move the ball with chains, however you want to put it, for another 20 yards. And I do have him for 1 touchdown pass. Fine, that's fine and dandy, right? Let's go down to talk about Matt Ryan. Pittsburgh, they're not good. They're 28th overall against opposing quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, I don't want to say he's had this career resurgence in Indianapolis at the beginning of the season. In the offseason, Matty Ice looked good. They were showing those hype videos, and then come to find out he was bad news. They replaced him with Sam Ehlinger, who was even worse. So what the heck are the Colts doing with quarterbacks? But right now, you need a guy to play the position, and it's Matt Ryan. 14.5 on FanDuel, 9.6 on DK, $24 on Yahoo. I have Matt Ryan, 22, maybe 21 to 22 completions, we'll call it, 250 yards, couple carries, nothing crazy. This guy's my age. He's not going to be lighting the stat sheets on fire in terms of rushing yards, but I do have him for 1 touchdown pass as well. And again, Kenny with 1 touchdown pass, Matt Ryan with 1 touchdown pass. I'll tell you where they're going here in a moment. As we look down to the running backs here, this is where the star power is, right? If you consider Najee Harris a star, I do, right? He opened up in not in college, but as a rookie, as a surefire first round pick in dynasty and fantasy formats. But now this past season, I should say, it's he's fallen out of favor, but he's kind of picked up the pace a little bit. When you look at the Colts, they're 15th overall against opposing running backs. Najee Harris, 13.5 on FanDuel, 9.4 on DK, and $17 on Yahoo. I have Harris, 17 carries, 65 yards. I have 4 or 5 receptions for another 25 yards, and I have Harris finding the end zone on the ground, some sort of inside the red zone, let's say. I don't think Najee Harris is going to break out a 60, 70-yard touchdown run, but he will find one. Chalk it up. Let's move on. Benny Snell, why waste our time? This video will absolutely be less than 15 minutes because of the competition here. Pittsburgh and Indiana. No offense to the Colts and Steelers fans, but hey, it is what it is. It's Monday Night Football, at least, right? It is. How can you put it? Now we're going to get to Jonathan Taylor, 16.5 on FanDuel, 11.4 on DK, $25 on Yahoo. When you look at Pittsburgh, 19th overall against opposing running backs, finally, Jonathan Taylor is himself again. We can count on 20-plus carries. I have JT around 21 to 22 carries, 95 yards, 3 to 4 receptions for an additional 25 yards here. And and he will find the end zone as well on the ground. So, as it stands now, Najee Harris, we can plug in for a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor, we can plug in for a touchdown, and we are rolling. Deion Jackson, briefly, 7-5 on FanDuel, $5,000 on DK, and he is just a guy, if you're going to, as I always say, if you're going to enter 150 lineups, might want to kick the tires on him. I don't see anything special out of him. I'm thinking 25, 26 total all-purpose yards for Deion Jackson. So, hey, we'll move on. Let's talk about the wide receivers here. And there's a lot to like in this one, but I will say this. When it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers, it's going to be bad news, not only because Kenny Pickett is their quarterback, but because the Colts are first. They are so good against defending opposing wide receivers here. So Pickens and Deontay Johnson, Gunner, Steve Sims, these guys are all going to be having a tough time here. But let's talk about George and Deontay Johnson at least. Pickens, 11-5 on FanDuel. DraftKings, he's 7-4. And on Yahoo, he's $17. I have George Pickens, 6-7 targets, 4-5 receptions, 50 yards. One thing that stood out, and I mean, it's easily found here, Pickens, 13.7 yards a catch average. That's great to see. So if he catches, 5 passes, you do the math. Here we are. As we go down, Deontay Johnson isn't this PPR stud, top 5 wide receiver we were promised, like 6-7 months ago or even a year ago. But hey, Deontay Johnson still has a role to play. He's $11,000 on FanDuel, 7-6 on DK, and $12 on Yahoo. I have Deontay Johnson. We're looking at around 7-8 targets, 4 or 5 receptions, and around 50 yards here. So 50 yards for him, 50 yards for Pickens. That's 100 total. That goes to Pickett's stats, and it's a weird occurrence in this game. Let me put the notes down for a second, right? I made these notes last night and in this morning here. And normally, as I'm doing these notes, right, or even ahead of time, I go to bed and I want to think about it, and I have an idea of which way I'm going to go based on the game that I'm going to discuss, based on the game of the notes that I'm going to provide here. And not that I was drawing a blank, but I think that drawing the blank was the move, because when we look at this one, there's not a lot of splash plays. There's not a lot of, this is where we can get over, right? You got JT and Najee Harris that are higher priced, and that's fine, but here are a couple cheap low-end guys that I think can pop. Even the cheap low-end guys aren't going to do much, but hey, here we are. Gunner, Steve Sims, I'm good there. If I had to choose, it would be Steven Sims, 7-5 on FanDuel, only $200 on DraftKings, tells you all you need to know. Sims, bare minimum, $10 on Yahoo, 3-4 targets, 2-3 receptions, about 20 yards. When we get to the Colts wide receivers, now that this is the part where we can stack those guys up, right? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers dead last, 32nd overall against defending opposing wide receivers. So it's Pittman, it's Paris, and it's Alec Pierce. Let's start with Pittman Jr., $13,000 on FanDuel, 10-2 on DK, $19 on Yahoo. I have Pittman, 8-9 targets, 6-7 receptions, around 75 yards. Paris Campbell, I've seen a lot of questions on social media leading up to the Thanksgiving Day games, leading up to the main slate of yesterday on Sunday. Paris or this guy, Paris or that guy here. And when we look at Paris Campbell, 10-5 on FanDuel, 6-8 on DK, $19 on Yahoo, 7 targets, 4 receptions, around 50 yards. Is this guy a flash in the pan? Can he get together and put 2 or 3 good games in a row together? If so, then hey, we'll not add him. I'm not talking seasonal formats, but if he can kind of not come out of his shell, but if Paris Campbell can really wow us here on Monday Night Football, then I'll start taking him more seriously, because as it stands now, he is just a flash in the pan. He's been in and out of the lineup. He's had soft tissue injuries, things along those lines, and it stinks, because you want a guy like him to succeed. I want everybody in the NFL to succeed. I want all of you watching this video to succeed, but that's just the way life is. Not everybody can win. Not everybody can succeed. When we look at Alec Pierce, the rookie, what stinks there is Pierce was very well off in the wide receiver position when he had Sam as his quarterback, because they got a ton of practice time in the spring and in the summer. He's 9-5 on FanDuel, 5-2 on DK, $14 on Yahoo. He is averaging 15.1 yards a reception. That's good to see. Alec Pierce, 5 targets, 3 receptions, about 40 yards. He would be the move, right? I mean, I have a few lines that are already locked and loaded with Pittman, Pierce, and even Paris Campbell. You can choose to go that route. That's just me. When we look at Ashton Doolin, no thank you there. $400 on DK. There's nothing going on there. When we talk about the tight ends here, Pat Freiermuth is highlighted in pink because I have him for like 8-9 targets, 5-6 receptions, 60 yards. Does he find the end zone? That's the rub. I know I always say that in these videos, right? Well, Chris, if anybody can find the end zone, they're a good play. But of all the players that I don't have designated to score a touchdown this week in this game, Pat Freiermuth strikes me as one that could score 1 or 2 sneakily. And I didn't say it. It wasn't in my notes. You didn't think it. It realistically, poof, came out of midair. So make sure Pat Freiermuth, he's 10 grand on FanDuel, 6-4 on DK, and $18 on Yahoo. Make sure you have him in your lineups. He is part of my cores tonight in the single game entry. Zach Gentry, no thank you. And then when we look at the Colts tight ends, Kylan Granson, he's doubtful. We'll move on. Mo Alley Cox, what are we going to do there? Mo Alley Cox has been a favorite of mine for a long time, not only in bottom of the barrel, but in cheapy DFS circles here. Mo Alley Cox, 6 grand on FanDuel, 3-6 on DK, $10 on Yahoo. I have Mo Alley, 2-3 targets, 1 or 2 receptions, 15 yards, and that's about it. One guy I will also mention, and maybe I'm whacked out here, right? Because I'm on social media, I'm at Detroit Beastie, and maybe I don't comment a lot, but I sit back and I read and I listen to what folks are saying. There was a point in time, unless I'm completely out of my mind, where Jelani Woods was in a lot of folks' articles, their sleeper articles, their DFS, low end kind of guy articles here. And Jelani Woods, 5-5 on FanDuel, $1,400 on DK, $10 on Yahoo. I don't see much action for him here. Pittsburgh's 10th overall against opposing tight ends. Woods, 1 or 2 targets, 1 or 2 receptions, 10 yards. I think this game is going to be very slow motion, slow pace. Let's give the ball to Najee Harris. Let's work in Benny Snell. It's going to be a lot of incompleted passes. It's going to be not a crappy game, because anytime we get NFL football, especially Monday night, we should be thankful for it. But this game, it's going to be a slow, grinded out game, and I don't see a lot of work for Mo Alley or Jelani Woods. When we look at the kickers here, Matthew Wright, Chase McLaughlin, where are we going there? I have this final score 21-17. So first of all, not a lot of touchdowns to go around. Second of all, not a lot of kicks to go around. So you're looking at just extra points here. I have Matthew Wright around 3 for 3 extra points, maybe 1 or 2 field goals, and Chase, same thing, 2 for 2 extra points, 2 for 2 field goals, something like that. So you can feel free to do as you please. And to be fair, aside from you can count on one hand the studs here. Najee, JT, Michael Pittman, and Deontay Johnson, those 4 guys. After that, it's anybody's game. So I'm going to guess that someone's going to win a ton of money tonight. 100 grand. As I said, I was running out of breath because I get so excited, I should say, or $1 million, and more than likely one of those lines is going to have a kicker in there. One of these lines is going to have the Colts DST in there, who is 9 grand on FanDuel, 4-6 on DK, and $16 on Yahoo. 3 to 4 sacks. I think they pick off Kenny Pickett once or twice. Is there a defensive touchdown? I've ran that one into the ground, so I'm going to leave that alone. Couple recent betting trends, and I'll get you the heck out of here. The under is 6-1. Indianapolis's last 7 games at home. Pittsburgh 5-1 against the spread their last 6 meetings with the Colts here. So, as I said, give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this one, 21-17, and kind of a snoozer. How many of us are going to be in bed or asleep at halftime, by halftime, however you want to put it? So be good, be safe, and I'll see you again for Thursday Night Football. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. It's back to the real world today, folks, but what can we do? We have Monday Night Football to kind of help us ease back into the work week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.